everybody. We're going to get started. I am Noel McCluney. I'm the current president at MVUC. And thank you all so much for tuning in today for our very first live streaming service. Please bear with us if we encounter any bumps along the way. The decision to cancel in-person services was a difficult one. Hold on a second. All right, everybody, we're going to get started. I am Noel McCluney. All right, there, case in point. I couldn't figure out how to turn the sound off on my phone. So, okay, again, welcome everybody. The decision to cancel in-person services was a difficult one, but we believe it was very necessary and a warranted action. As UUs, we tend to listen to science and scientists, and they have made it clear that the novel coronavirus that causes COVID-19 is a significant and imminent threat. Without immediate and strong actions, the virus will quickly outstrip the capabilities of our healthcare system, leading to debilitating conditions and many fatalities. So thus, it was very important that we all follow best practices during this pandemic. Please frequently wash your hands for 20 seconds with soap and water. Disinfect doorknobs, light switches, and other high contact surfaces. Additionally, restrict physical interactions with others, canceling events, and keeping 6 feet of distance with others. This is called social distancing. So if you've heard that term, that's what they're talking about. That is why we have canceled all our in-person events and services. The more we can slow the spread of this infection, the better it will be for our hospital system and the ability for our healthcare system to care for the sick and prevent unneeded deaths. That being said, please do continue to be engaged with our church via technology like this one. Note that the Sunday Service Committee will be meeting virtually on Tuesday to discuss how best to utilize this new platform. So again, for today, it's a bit of guesswork, but I know you all are UUs and are forgiving people. So, and I know we all love hearing Tom's services, so we're lucky to have him here today. I will be doing my best to guide you when you should use the comment features. All right. We're going to attempt to sing, guys. Are we ready? Here we go. We did practice this, I swear. One verse, and you can sing at home with us, okay? Here come your students so they can see you. All right, here we go.
Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whoever you love, we welcome you.
Thank you for that. We can come back here next time. Okay. Good morning and welcome to Mommy Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I am Noel McCluney and this is Tom Edge, and that was Colleen Fitzgerald, and we will be presenting your service today. We gather today to foster our understanding of our place in the universe, embracing the worth and dignity of all, supporting justice, equity, and peace in our world, accepting one another as we search for meaning and respecting the connectedness of all life. Please take a moment to think of all your friends at MVUC and remember that you can still reach out to them during this unprecedented time via email, Facebook, phone, or video chat. Physical distancing does not need to mean emotional distancing. Let us support one another. I'm seeing a comment that it's hard to hear using the microphone. So I'm going to try without the microphone, and please make a comment if that's actually better. Okay. Is this sound better to not use the microphone? I'll talk a little bit so you can tell.
I think there's a little bit of a delay.
Oh, there's a little delay.
So,
okay.
So we'll hear from them eventually.
Okay. It's a bit of a delay. Okay. Okay. I'll keep going and you can let me know.
Better.
Better. Oh, that is better. Okay. Note that we will be sending a message soon about ways that we will be supporting people during this time. Megan Ranciere is leading that effort along with many other people. So you'll see a special announcement sent out about that. This will include support for grocery pickup and phone check-ins. So please let them know if you would like or you can help with this support. Now is the time for announcements, okay? If you have an announcement, please add it as a comment right now on the Facebook Live video, and I will read it. As you do that, I'll make some of my other announcements, and then I'll read any announcements that were posted, okay? So again, Sunday service is moving to virtual until further notice. Again, we're working out the kinks on this one, so hopefully next week will be even better. RE is also now virtual, and Sarah, our Director of Religious Education, has some amazing programs in addition to Sunday RE that she'll be running during this time, including a film club, bedtime story time, and a PALS program that pairs younger kids with older kids or adults. So please check out the details on that. It's in your newsletter. I also put it in that urgent announcement I sent out last night. So check that out. Hopefully that's going well right now with her. Sunday Service Committee, again, we'll be holding a virtual meeting on Tuesday. Other committees may also choose to hold meetings this way as well. Again, all events at the church have been canceled during this time. Now is the time for other announcements. I'm checking to see any. Okay, I'm not seeing any other announcements, so I'll move on. Our chalice will be lit today by Colleen. Please join me. Well, I think Kevin posted the chalice reading earlier, so if you can find that, you're going to read it with me. Otherwise, you can listen to me. All right, please join me in reading the words of the chalice lighting. We kindle this flame with love for the nurturers in our lives, past, present, and future. We kindle this flame in celebration of community and its generations. We kindle this flame with respect and support for the greater circle of life of which we are a part.
Non-technical difficulties too.
We did test the lighter earlier.
We did, it worked earlier.
It's to be how it is. Okay. Our opening words are going to be read by Colleen.
Our opening words today are from Amanda Schuber, entitled In Honor. In honor of the risk takers, those that hold the vision with clarity and charge forward with optimism, even in the face of others' doubts. You are our lamplighters and our guides. May we never forget the courage it takes to lead the way forward. In honor of the cautious skeptics, those that gather the information needed to navigate the tumultuous waters of change. You are the map makers and the preparers of the stores. May we appreciate your attention to the details that keep us on course. In honor of the doubters, those that may fear the changing tides of a turbulent world, you are our anchors and remind us of where we have been and where we are as a community now. May we relish your commitment to our history and your passion for who we have become. In honor of the dreamers, those that imagine what we can be, and in this world, what we can be and
What we can be to and in this world.
still look at it. You are the wind that blows the sails of change, pushing us ever forward. May we revel always in your whimsy and hope that dares us to never stop becoming. May the work we do together strengthen our community and our world. May we heed the call to always hold the vision of the free church ever in our sight and to work towards justice. Together, we wield a powerful spirit that is strengthened by the gifts of all.
All right. Before I begin, I just want to thank Noel and Colleen for their invaluable help this morning. I want to thank Lynn Israel for the invitation to speak. I always enjoy coming back here. I wish it were under different circumstances, but I'm really appreciative of those who are tuning in online and who are still members of this congregation, even if they are not here in body. When I was young, I was extremely lucky in one respect. I always knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. It's true. Starting at the age of 6, I knew exactly what I wanted out of life. From the ages of 6 to 8, I knew, without a doubt in my mind, that I was going to play third base for the Philadelphia Phillies. From the ages of 9 to 11, I was certain that I would be a scientist, most likely an astronomer, though chemist and paleontologist were briefly considered. From the ages 12 to 14, I told anyone that would listen that I would be a pediatric neurologist. From the ages 14 to 18, without hesitation, I told people that I was going to be a civil rights attorney or a public defender. And from the age of 18 onwards, I knew more than anything that I wanted to teach. Each and every one of those ambitions was true at the time and made perfect sense at those points in my life. Mike Schmidt was my idol growing up and made it look so easy, I thought I should be able to play third base for the Phillies without any problems. As soon as I realized that this body did not match that ambition, I spent more time reading my subscription to Odyssey magazine, a gift from my friend Tom Conrad, who knew that I liked books on outer space and thought I would appreciate this kid's magazine about astronomy. In 6th grade, I got bored and read the medical guide that came with my family's encyclopedia set. At that time, I was already visiting my neurologist every year for a seizure disorder. By 7th grade, I had to see a pediatric neurologist when I developed a pseudotumor cerebri, a false brain tumor. I impressed him when he asked whether I took vitamins, and I said yes, but only one a day with extra vitamin C, not extra vitamin A, because I knew that megadoses of vitamin A can create symptoms resembling a brain tumor. During the summer before high school, I read To Kill a Mockingbird for the first time and knew that I wanted to be a lawyer like Atticus Finch. I wanted to help the underdog, challenge injustices, and use my work to take necessary but unpopular stands. Impulses that were confirmed in a very different way when I read the autobiography of Malcolm X a few years later. And by the time I started college, I realized that the people who had the greatest impact on me were my history teachers. The way they told stories, challenged us to think, and told us to always ask the most important question of the events we studied: why? I knew I wanted to have that same impact on my own students one day. We permit young people the room to explore their interests, change their minds, and find new passions. For some reason, we do not accord the same privilege to adults. As we grow older, these things are seen as weaknesses, as character flaws, as signs that we're simply flighty and unfocused. Why is that the case? Well, I know the answer. I know who to blame for this situation. Jeffrey the giraffe. That's right, the beloved mascot of Toys R Us has done more to damage our view of aging and foster discrimination against adults than anyone else in modern history. For 2 generations, he has bombarded parents with a catchy little jingle that tells them to buy toys for their kids, while telling kids that being an adult means you're too old to do anything fun. Seriously, if you're a Toys R Us kid, it's all about more games, more toys, oh boy. But once you grow up, it seems you are permanently banned from the million toys they have, except as a buyer. No bikes, trains, or video games for you. And when you put it that way, no, I don't want to grow up. Now, I am not here this morning to argue that being an adult is fun and games. Rather, what would happen if we gave adults more room to explore new ideas and experiences as we do kids? What would happen if we stopped imposing these artificial boundaries around adults, telling them that certain feelings, dreams, ambitions, and desires are childish? 20 years ago, Newsweek ran a series of articles from authors speculating what the new century and millennium might bring to humankind. Yes, it's really been 20 years and I feel old too. One scientist talked about advances in medical technology that might soon make it common for people to live well past 100 years of age. But he didn't simply focus on the medical miracles that might make this happen. Instead, he talked about the social impact of people living that much longer. If they work into their 80s and 90s, he thought it was likely to see people choosing 3 or 4 different career paths over a lifetime, perhaps in radically different fields. It could have a dramatic impact on relationships, both romantic and platonic, as some couples and friends might find things getting stale after the first 75 or 80 years. This does not even take into account our society's relationship to aging, especially when it comes to financial support and access to health care. One of the reasons that this article struck me at the time was that it did not assume we all aged the same way, nor did it assume that we stay the same as we age. The author recognized that getting older, that growing up did not mean sticking to the same routines over and over for decades. Longer lives meant more opportunities to try new things, that you were forced to take risks and accept certain changes. Where are those stories when we talk about what it means to grow up? Now, I don't want to turn this into generational warfare. In fact, the tendency to place everyone into certain boxes based on their age has dangerous ramifications for everyone. Rick Carlgard, author of Late Bloomers, The Power of Patience in a World Obsessed with Early Achievement, reminds us that as we grow up, we develop different sets of skills. He worries what it means to live in a society that places young people under enormous pressure to choose a path and succeed early, and ignores the fact that most of us are not child prodigies. He writes, quote, "Let's pause. We're not wrong to recognize and congratulate early bloomers. Their achievements deserve acknowledgement. But our culture's obsession with early achievement has become detrimental to the majority of the population, to the multitudes of us who develop in different ways and at different paces. It pushes the message that if you haven't become famous, reinvented an industry, or banked 7 figures while you're still young enough to get carded, you've somehow made a wrong turn in life. Maybe we need to step back and recognize that we are not only asking our young people to grow up too quickly, we are forcing upon everyone at every age a strict measure of what it means to grow up, one that ironically leaves little room for intellectual or emotional growth. So let's call a truce. Let's begin by acknowledging the challenges we face at every stage of life. That everyone, no matter their age, faces certain difficulties that none of us like. Let's agree to give people room to grow at their own pace. Let's give people the opportunity to change and to change their minds. I thought deeply about whether it was appropriate to give this particular talk today, given the rapidly changing circumstances of the last week. I wondered how this topic would be seen at a time when we are having important national conversations that literally involve matters of life and death. But the more I thought about it, I realized how much our current situation is wrapped up in the issues we have with aging. I think about some of the students I've met with over the years who talk about racism, sexism, homophobia, and who talk about it in terms of, well, that's a problem with the older generation. Once they're gone, we won't have to deal with this anymore. An attitude that, of course, erases people of color, queer folks, women, and others in those generations who have fought for the rights that they enjoy today. In recent years, asking questions about why our society functions the way it does. Why can't everyone have access to health care? Why can't we guarantee paid sick leave? These questions and values are dismissed as naive, innocent, or childish. Growing up, to some people, means accepting this system at face value, not questioning it. As Unitarian Universalists, however, we embrace the responsible search for truth. And we do not place an age limit on who can participate in that process. Usually we talk about this through the lens of youth, that like children we are always learning, seeking, finding, discovering, and exploring. But even here in this congregation, perhaps we would benefit by reminding ourselves that this is an opportunity and a responsibility for all of us, old and young alike. At our best, when we are open to new information, new callings, new interests, we expand the tiny horizons of our little corner of the world. We challenge ourselves and those around us in the most positive ways to examine what is happening around us, question why it is so, and dare to imagine other possibilities. In doing so, this does not mean that we need to leave our past experiences behind us, that growing up means we somehow move beyond our past, beyond the people and ideas that shaped us. At the outset of this talk, I indicated that I have always known what I wanted to do since the age of 6. That was not only the time in my life when I thought I would be a millionaire in Major League Baseball. It was when I first fell in love with history. Beginning with the appendix of my family's dictionary that talked about the presidents, and my first 2 books from the Scholastic Book Fair in 2nd grade, 40 Presidents, Facts and Fun, and exploring the 50 states. I can trace a straight line from how enamored I was with those books in elementary school to my dissertation and my own career in higher education. And along the way, I didn't leave those other potential careers behind. I didn't become third baseman for the Phillies, as you might have noticed. I hear you, Andy Shockett, wherever you are. But I love the history of the game. I still collect baseball cards. And I'm getting ready for my fantasy baseball draft later this month. I didn't become a scientist, a doctor, or a lawyer. But when I teach about race, all of those things come into the discussion. And allow me to show my students how interconnected these ideas really are. On this journey, I found new aspects of my identity that ebbed and flowed with time, but never truly left. I became a theater geek in high school, never thinking that I would be running a youth theater organization as an adult. I came out as bisexual, without thinking of what it would mean to my future queer students who sought guidance in their own journeys. I became a husband and father, and got to experience the world through their eyes, their ideas, and was made all the richer for it. To some people, these are not the signs that I have grown up. To them, my mortgage, my car payment, my worries about paying for my kid to go to college in a few years, my aching knees, these are the traditional markers that I am advancing through adulthood. I respectfully disagree. For me, if growing up only means that I have more bills to pay, joint problems, and acid reflux, then no, I don't want to grow up. But if it means that we get to grow, if it means that we can use our knowledge and experience in ways we never expected, if it means that we have the freedom to explore the larger world and search it for meaning, maybe we wouldn't be so afraid to grow up or to grow old. And maybe we wouldn't try to rush that journey. May it be so.
Thank you, Tom. That was excellent. Now let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this organization that is so important to us, supporting our efforts to be a community of love, truth, justice, and service within and beyond these many walls. We will be posting the PayPal link in the comments on the Facebook Live video. Please click and donate either now or directly following the service. Hopefully that works. Also, now is the time for sharing of joys and concerns and milestones. If you are so moved, please add your joy or concern as a comment on the Facebook Live video, and I will read it and place a stone in the water. So I will give a few minutes for that right now. Oh, yeah. I'll be reading the comment and placing a stone in the water. starting to get a few coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and start. I have John Schutze here saying, for his joy, we're happy this format allows us to continue to feel connected to the congregation. I have Susan Rogers, thinking of those in assisted living and skilled nursing across the nation, the most vulnerable. I have Sophie Kerr here saying, had my first laser hair removal appointment, and so far have lost 30 pounds. Awesome. I have Kevin McCluney here saying, thinking of all those in Italy and hoping we can take actions so that it doesn't get that bad here. I have Lenore Hess saying, thankful that I am able to join you again. Yeah. I have Andy Cook saying, at the start of service, I got really emotional during the opening song, and I realized that it's because MVUC has become such an important part of my life, and that not being there with all of you made me feel deeply what social distancing means. Thanks for being a place I love. Got me emotional, Amanda. Okay. Jenny Walter says, thinking of all the individuals who are working in medicine facilities throughout this ordeal. Not exactly sure who's saying this, but MVUC says, oh, so he's replying, maybe Lisa, glad to have you here, you are missed.
Go ahead.
Well, you can go on. I can go.
One, certainly, again, for the invitation to be here. You know that, especially over the next few weeks, if there's a way I can help, I'm here to help. I was glad to hear people thinking of the doctors, nurses, EMTs, other people who are really on the front lines. Let's not forget people working in grocery stores right now, people who are in the gig economy, like Uber drivers and others who are also on the front lines and who are really being exposed, but are also doing some pretty heroic work for us right now. So for everyone else who's in visible labor we don't always pay attention to, this is for them.
John Schutze says he has a concern. My father is already feeling very isolated with his relatively new ALS symptoms. He asked me to visit today several times, and I finally told him it was too big a risk. I was tough. As much as I know he wants some human contact. Maybe invite him to join us here too. For me, for John, one for me, thanking everybody who's helped this week with all the things related to MVUC, obviously Colleen and Tom, Lisa, of course, everybody on the board to make this decision to close services and going completely virtual. Gosh, everything else happening. And I'm thinking also of everybody out in Arizona that I'm working with, dealing with what we're doing out there, deciding if we're going to close. For many of you know, I work at a place that's a school and a therapy clinic for children with disabilities, and we're trying to figure out if we should close. If we close, how we're going to continue to support these kids being at home, how are we going to continue to support all the staff. So a lot on there. also thinking about all the people, we had to cancel our art teacher, our music teacher, all those people that come in to help with the kids, that's also their livelihood. So it's just obviously everything going on with this. So concern, but joy of everybody coming together. And obviously to my husband, always for being such a support for me. Very big stone here. And one more for making sure that nobody else has anything. I don't see it. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, I got it.
Trinidad Linares writes, thinking of those in Asia and other countries also fighting COVID-19, thinking of Asians under attack globally because of racism. Want to send a shout out to Demetrius Ingram who checked in. Thank you. And thank you, Demetrius, for the thoughts for John.
And one more for all the joys and concerns left in our hearts.
Our reading today is from Linda Olson Peebles, entitled Honoring Children. Like so many people who have paid attention to their children, I know that babies come to us with a fullness of being that lives and experiences and interacts with the world. Children are not just cute objects to be adored or sentimentalized. They are human beings in the fullest sense, and they can remind adults of what being a human being really means. Even in the first hours and weeks, a baby can communicate and be communicated with, can display personality and mannerisms, can teach us how to see and love, and can learn from us how we respond and love in return. All the children are full beings, open to the experience of living and loving. Their eyes seek to see everything. Their hands reach out to touch. Nurtured and supported, they love to learn, to create, to play, to engage life wholly. When we wrap our children in blankets, what threads are in that fabric? Each of us brings threads to the weaving of our environment. We seek to wrap our babies in cloth of soft threads, smooth or silky, comforting. But all too often, we discover that the threads and blankets around most children include the itchy lines of greed or arrogance, the scratchy web of hatred and uncaring. Babies around the world and children as they grow are all being scarred by the world that has enfolded them. What happens when that full humanness of a child is not nurtured and encouraged to grow? The child who is dehumanized, who is damaged, grows to be a person scarred and unable to see the humanity of a child or another adult. Whether it is consumerism and mind-numbing media, or hunger and violence, or racism and narcissism, our children are wounded by the blankets that we have inherited and that have wounded us. What should we be offering to comfort our babies, to guide our children? Should we tell stories about how to survive in a tough world, how to grow calluses? If that is our answer to the pain, it will continue. We need to feed children and keep them safe from being dehumanized. We need to teach our children to follow their own inborn instincts and to develop those qualities which make them most human. These life-expressing skills include the capacity to reach out to others, to express their needs clearly, to offer smiles and love unconditionally, to see the world with non-judgmental, curious eyes, to get up from falls with courage. We need to teach our children to live out their love in this world and to remember how to be open to finding the love and nurture that a human being must have to thrive. And we need to see how the plight of the saddest of children is a reflection of what we have brought to the fabric of our shared lives. Our sadness and our wounds, which must be healed and not passed on to more children. When we can truly believe in life and love and offer that gift to all children, we can share the blessing of the sacredness of our being wholly human.
Our closing words today are by Sophia Loren. There is a fountain of youth. It is your mind, your talents, the creativity you bring to your life and the lives of people you love. When you learn to tap this source, you will truly have defeated age. Please join me in reading the words for extinguishing our chalice that can be found as a comment on the Facebook Live video. I see Kevin has posted it. Thank you, Colleen. This is the message of our faith, to act with passion in the face of justice, to love with courage in the midst of life's pain. This is the meaning of our chalice flame. May it empower our hearts until we are together again. And now we're going to sing our closing song.
We're going to try.
We're going to try. We're going to press the piano and we're going to sing for you guys. Please join us at home. You want to hit the... Oh.
Yeah.
Now we have to go back. Oh, did you turn it?
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
They're ready. They're ready.
Let's go.
Go with a song in your heart. Go with music in your soul. Live with the memory of a melody. Go with a song in your heart. Go with a song in your heart. Now and turning it again. The joy of music is our gift. Go with a song in your heart. Live with the memory of a melody. Go with a song. Go with a song. Go with a song in your heart.
Thanks to the lights and choir. Very appreciated. Very
Thank you, everybody.